Today is Friday, November 15th in 2024, and we welcome you to our Chapter 49 podcast. My name is Larry Lannon. I'm a volunteer and a retiree, volunteering here at Chapter 49 with some communication issues. Chapter 49 represents most IRS employees in the state of Indiana. Very happy you've chosen to spend a little of your valuable time with us today. And as always, I welcome Duncan Giles, our chapter president, back to the podcast.
Thanks, Larry. It's always good to be here.
And we have a special guest on today's podcast. I'm going to turn this over to Duncan, let him introduce our guest and start the conversation.
Yeah, our guest today is Zach Peck from United Benefits. Welcome, Zach. Glad you're able to be here.
Thank you, Duncan. Thank you, Larry. I'm glad to be here myself.
And what we wanted to talk about today, United Benefits partners with NTEU, offering a wide range of products. And one in particular I'd like to start off talking about today is the new tool that United Benefits has that can help folks during, especially during open season for FEHB, talking about the Genius program. I'll tell folks I've tried this out myself. It came out with the same program that I've looked at to do this. And this is one of those things that I tell people to research the best health insurance program for themselves and their families, because according to OPM, 5% in 2023 changed their health insurance program. So you really need to take a look at this. And I think the Genius program can help. Can you tell us something about how this program works, Zach?
Absolutely. And I would like to start out with just a testimonial myself from yesterday. I had a employee here at the IRS that had come in, and we sat down. We got to use this program, use the Genius, and come to find out the plan that she'd had. She said she hadn't been able to get they hadn't been paying any of her claims and stuff like that. Well, first of all, the plan she had was not even used in this geographic area of the country. So she's had a plan for a year that was not even the plan that she needed. It was just because it was a cheaper plan or whatever. So whether it be cheaper or not, you still got to have the right plan for your area. So this is kind of what this Genius does. And by the way, I'm here in Des Moines right now at Chapter 4 IRS. And we've been testing this thing all week here with the members, and it's been working out really, really, really well. We've changed a lot of health plans this week, from health plans that were not being, whether they not the right plan for this area. But when you put that information in here, which this is the flyer we're using right here, as you see, when you use this information, you put this information in and put where you live, it's going to give you some of your top tiered plans that are available for your area that your doctors and your hospitals are going to absolutely take. That's the research we put in this, and that's what this Benefit Genius does. It's smart enough to know, based on your information, what plans they think that you need. So it's working out really well. There's a couple of cool additions we've added to it. We've got a benefit enhancer bundle, so you can even enhance the health insurance benefit with some of our added benefits that United Benefits offers that is not offered by the federal government. So in what those things can do is they can help cover your deductibles. If you have a high out-of-pocket max plan, then it's covering that any of those high out-of-pocket maximums which are created by critical care, some major medical issue. So those are some of the things that we've added to this plan, or to the FEHB tool, that can increase and help your health plan be better for you.
Yeah, and I think that is an interesting addition to it. Like I said, I've used this tool when it first came out. I wanted to be one of the first guinea pigs to try it out, because I researched this stuff quite extensively, so I can answer questions to our members about, health plan information, things of that nature. And it did come up with the same plan that I decided to switch to in 2025, but also like you
Good.
mentioned, some of the other programs that would help with high deductibles, the critical care, there's a cancer insurance
Yeah.
plan. There are costs if you're in the hospital. You can do plans of that nature. So I think
That's right.
those are quite effective as well. In addition to, if folks, basically it depends on how much coverage do you want with, the value that you're getting, how much do you want, how much protection do you want? And I think that the tool and United Benefits as a whole offers a really good plan for that, for however much or however little you want coverage for.
Right. Yes. We also have, say this too, before I have to leave, is we have a staff of people that are staffed right now ready to help anybody that needs help with their health insurance. Any of the employees that want to call in, or they want to get on, if they receive the email from us, and click on that link and go in there and try it, they don't have to do everything on their own. It's going to send a response to our customer service team to reach out to them to help them with the paperwork, to help them choose that, or not the paperwork, but to help them fill out the application and help them get that code put into their My EPP to make sure that they do have that coverage start effective January 1st, 2025.
Yeah, which is a great feature because you want to make sure that you get the right plan number, not just for your health insurance, but dental and vision and things of that nature. Because you put in the wrong code, it could cost you a lot of money if you say it's you and your spouse, you don't have any children, and you put in family, and sometimes family can be less expensive than the health insurance, or self plus one, that can be, a benefit as well. So I didn't do everything on there, and I did get a follow-up email from one of your customer service folks saying, hey, do you need any help? Is there anything that you need? So the follow-through is there as well.
Good. That's what I want to hear. Thanks. Great.
Yeah. Now, I noticed that United Benefits, in addition to, helping out with things like that, what are some of the other things that United Benefits likes to help with?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. We have a full retirement services team that can help, whether you're still in your early stages of your career, helping with choosing the right things within your TSP, putting the right amount of money into your TSP to show you what you're going to have one day when you do retire, in addition to your pension. So we also do the calculations for the pensions, help calculate and look into your Social Security, give you, basically, United Benefits, we want to make sure that we're with this employee from the day they start working to the end of their career.
And I think that's a great benefit for NTEU members. And I want to make sure I clarify that this is for NTEU members, not just general employees.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct. These benefits are for the members only. So it is a member benefit. So it's something that hopefully gives some additives to NTEU and some benefits for becoming an NTEU member. Because we want to be able to make sure that we help people decide what they need to do, and they don't have nobody to go to for that help now. I mean, there's the HR department's not there. So
right. And like you said, there are a lot of things that, that United Benefits offers, but a lot of these things that you're mentioning, the help with the TSP, the help with the retirement, things of that nature, there's not a charge for a consultation with somebody from United Benefits. Isn't that correct?
I think we're having some connection issues here with Zach. He's kind of coming in and out there. You never know what kind of connection you're going to have. And I know he's out on the road traveling. So he's unfortunately frozen up on us at the moment.
That's okay. I will tell people that, yeah, United Benefits does offer this, and you can find their information on the NTU homepage at ntu.org. And they've also now apparently decided to partner with Travelers Insurance. So they now offer also home and auto if you want to get that checked as well. So again, these are things that don't cost our members anything, but is an added benefit and may help. If you can save some money and get a better product, that's what we want to offer to you. And United Benefits does a great job in helping that.
Now, Doug, we've had some connection issues there with Mr. Peck. Are you back with us?
I'm back with you. I've got some shaky service here where I'm at. So,
well, sometimes we have no control over that. So just, you froze up about halfway through your last response. Maybe you want to finish up on that?
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly where I was on that, but I know I was trying to talk about the retirement and saying we have a whole retirement team. In addition to having a benefits team, in addition to having a whole FEHB team to help with your federal employee health benefits, we also help with Medicare as well, because Medicare is one thing that when a federal employee gets to age 65, they have access to their health insurance. Medicare does not want to really talk to them because they don't know how, with all the health plans, how that coordinates with Medicare. Well, we got specialists that help you know what to coordinate your health plan with Medicare. Had that same thing happen yesterday. We did do a change in a plan because there's some of the plans that coordinate better with Medicare, and they actually pay money back toward your Part B cost. So that's some of the knowledge that we have as my staff and everything has to help the members in making those decisions.
So, Duncan, any final question for our specialist here from United?
Yeah, basically, I was going to say, and how's the best way for people to access this information?
You can access us actually, I believe, through unitedbenefits.com. We have a website. It's unitedbenefits.com. You can go on there and actually, if you are not receiving any information from us as of right now to your email, go to our website, fill out just a general little bit of information. You'll get emails for webinars, for upcoming webinars on various different things. And I'd like to say this too. A lot of people don't know this. They'll register for the webinar, but they won't show up to the webinar because they can't make it or they're busy or maybe on the phones or something. So if they'll register for the webinar and go ahead and submit the registration, they will get a copy of that webinar within 48 hours. Even if they don't have to attend it. You just have to register for it and you'll get a copy of that even if you can't make it. So you'll get a recording of what had happened and everything within 48 hours sent to your email. So I encourage everybody to go to our website and at least just register in the website to be a part of United Benefits team and get our information sent to you on a regular basis. You always have our contact information. You can call anytime. You can set up an appointment anytime to talk to any one of us.
Maybe a reminder what the deadline is for the open season.
December 11th.
So December 11th is the deadline. And just to emphasize something you've already discussed, Zach, just maybe want to emphasize it again, that the earlier you ask for help, the more responsive you can be, because as you get closer to December 11th, your people get a lot busier.
That's right. I mean, if anybody's anything like me, I'll always like to wait to the last minute to do anything. But I will say this: that's what a lot of people are going to do with health when it comes to health open season, is wait to the last minute to make decisions. And I would encourage everybody to, as soon as possible, to go ahead and get with one of us to help get this done and in place, because nothing takes place anyway until January the 1st, 2025. That's when the effective date is on everything. So
Zach, also, if you're listening in chapter 49, you can talk to Duncan or any of his people. If you're listening and you're associated with another chapter for NTU Anywhere, and that will go for, I assume, any agency, you can contact your local chapter and they could always point you in the right direction to get you to your staff and your people at United Benefits. Duncan, any final question or comment for Zach before we let him go?
Nope. I just want to say that I really appreciate the partnership that United Benefits has with NTEU. And I think you're doing a fine job in spite of your president there, Matt Whitten.
That's a Duncan Giles.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't have to comment on that, Zach. That's all right. But Zach, thank you very much. We appreciate your taking some time. No, sorry about the connection issues. There's really nothing you can do about that, but we tried to get around that as best we can. So good luck to you in your travels, and we appreciate your partnership with the National Treasury Employees Union. And it may be apropos that I think Zach is frozen up again. So God bless him. We tried our best to keep that going there. But Zach, thank you for joining us today, and so we appreciate that. Again, if you have questions about United Benefits, he gave you contact information. You can back it up and listen to it again, or talk to Duncan at Chapter 49 or any of his people at Chapter 49, or if you're with another NTEU chapter, your local chapter can help you get in touch with United Benefits. Thanks again, Zach. We appreciate it. Sorry about the connection issues, but again,
No, that's okay. I'm sorry. Sorry that it's just the location. I've had connection issues all week here. So,
well, thank you. Thank you again,
you guys, so much. I appreciate it.
Zach.
Thanks for having me on. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Have a good one.
So, Duncan, we again appreciate that partnership we have with United Benefits. It's a benefit that was negotiated with United Benefits by our national union to benefit our members, and they will give you advice. They have products. You don't have to buy their products. They will give you advice, and but then they'll tell you what products they have, but you don't have to use theirs unless you wish to do so.
Exactly. So, and I do use a few of their products, and some of them they've pitched to me. I was like, nope, that's not right for myself and my awesome and beautiful wife, Kim. But, everybody's situation is different, and we just want to offer options. But like I said, it costs nothing to talk to them, and it's a great tool to have for your financial needs.
Well, unfortunately, Duncan, we have other issues to talk about in this podcast. Not all of it is good news. In fact, most of it is not. We do have a presidential inauguration coming up on January 20th. Joseph Biden is our president from now until the swearing-in ceremony at noon that day. So I think the question people are asking, and I've mentioned this before, that we talked about Project 2025, which was a playbook, if you will, for the next Republican administration. And we've talked about what's in that document. Now, the former president, now president-elect, had said during the campaign he was not tied to that. But a lot of people he's appointing to positions already were key people involved in that document. So if Project 2025 is in fact followed, and we'll limit it to the civil service, there's a lot in there about civil service. What do we expect? What are we bracing for as we head into January 20th?
That's a really good question, because the Project 2025, when it comes to civil service, is pretty draconian. Talking about greatly reducing government agencies, things of that nature. We're not sure what's going to be able to get through. There is a slim Republican majority in the House, will be in the House of Representatives. But will that be enough to overturn 150 years of civil service regulations and laws? Because a lot of these are going to have to be done through Congress, and we don't know for sure what's going to happen with that. But in reading that, none of it is good. That talks about the bloated bureaucracy, things of that nature. And I've got to tell you, in talking to my brethren across the country, and that includes all the different agencies that NTU represents, which is 35, I believe now. Nobody is talking about it where I have way too much staff. We don't have enough work, things of that nature. Everybody is working. Everybody is trying to do their best for the American taxpayer. And that's what we want to continue to do. And I'm very much afraid that if some of the things in Project 2025 or the administration's 47 that they campaigned on roll out, it's not going to be good for the federal workforce.
And I think if you look at what we know about presidential appointments so far, the first people I thought about were the people at Customs and Border Protection with the DHS. The Food and Drug Administration is coming under attack by some of these people who have been proposed to run an agency like that. And those are just a couple of examples. We don't even know who the Treasury Secretary will be. We don't know whether Danny Werfel will continue. He's still in his 5-year term as IRS commissioner, but we don't. The president can, if he wishes, make a change there. So we just don't know what's happening as far as IRS, and we know who the people have been who have been nominated to run some of these agencies. Speaking of agencies, there's a Commission on Government Efficiency. Now, the first reaction I got is that when there was a proposed Commission on Government Efficiency, which I guess would be run out of the White House, the first thing the president-elect did was name 2 people to head it up. How efficient is it going to be to have 2 people run one commission?
That's it's always been great when you have 2 leaders that are co-doing anything, because that's the way for everything to be concise and be done. It's going to be interesting, especially with those 2 who are going to be doing it, who both have very strong personalities. So I don't know how they'll co-manage.
It's the 2, in case you haven't read it already, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. So you may know what these people have done. They've been public figures for a few years now. And we don't know what will come out of it. I did see this where, during the campaign, Musk went to some campaign event and said there were just in the federal government, we have all these people that we could save trillions of dollars. Trillions of dollars. Fact check on that. How much of the federal budget is devoted to federal employees? 15%. That's right, 15%. Even if you started, trimming that down, there's not trillions of dollars if you fired everybody. And even President-elect Trump isn't saying that.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing where he said we can trim $2 trillion. I truly don't see it. And if you privatize it, well, you're still paying for it, whether it's government employees or privatizing. Some of the concern that I have about these gentlemen are, you have examples of people being told, okay, you're working overtime whether you like it or not. You're going to have to sleep in your offices. This has been their experience with the private sector that they've literally done. So we're hoping that it doesn't, anything like that doesn't try and translate. We will be nationally and locally, we will be talking to folks in Congress about this, because this will take congressional action. This is going to be something that, they can make recommendations, but they cannot enforce anything. This has to go through Congress and pass through them. So we want to make sure that Congress is very well aware, and there will probably be a time where we're going to be asking, folks who we represent to contact their senators and their congressperson to make sure that they understand the potential harm that could come to them through their loss of job or working under conditions that are unacceptable.
So watch your email. The National Union will be emailing people who are members of this union. Watch our Facebook page, which you can like or follow. Just go to Facebook and search under NTEU Chapter 49 Indiana, that specific phrase, and we will do our best to keep you up to date. And yes, I fully expect on this podcast as well, we will be updating you on a regular basis as to when you need to contact your local member of Congress or the 2 senators that represent you. I mentioned that in the last podcast. That's going to be a very key issue, making sure that local chapters and even members start building a relationship with your member of Congress, your two senators. They may not always agree with us, but make sure that elected official and that elected official staff understands the issues. And, you are part of their constituency. They are supposed to represent everybody in a state for senators and for their district in the House. Speaking of Congress, there's something called recess appointments. This is kind of an in the weeds thing that happens in government, and it happens in the Senate because there's an odd provision of government which says that if, let's say, the Senate is in recess, they officially recess, then presidents can make what are called recess appointments, but they only last for a certain period of time, I think, for that particular session. And President-elect Trump has suggested to the Senate, now, a majority of Republicans, John Thune of South Dakota has already been elected as the leader of the Senate for the Republican Party, and so they will be that leader, John Thune, replacing Mitch McConnell, who's stepping down from that post. I think what we're getting to now, Duncan, is really not a matter of Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, you're for this or for that. We are about to see a battle between government itself and the institutions of government, because the Senate and the Republican majority in the Senate is going to be faced with a decision. Will the Senate go along with their elected president of their party and just recess and let the president name whoever he wants without any hearings or votes? Or will the Senate assert itself and say, well, Mr. President, guess what? We're the Senate. Our job is to advise and consent under the Constitution. We're going to have hearings. We're going to have votes. I'm going to be watching this very carefully to see what the Senate Republicans do, because this is much more about their authority as an institution of government under the Constitution. Will it assert its authority under the Constitution, or just say, okay, Mr. President, we'll do whatever you say? To me, this is going to be a very important development. What's your view on this?
Yeah, as anybody who's been in school, we have three branches of government: executive, legislative, and you've got the judicial as well. Well, the legislative branch needs to, as you said, the Senate advises and consents. And when they talked about this recess appointment, and this was done very early in the Constitution, this was when it may take weeks or months for members of Congress to come back into session because, they were riding horses at that time, horse and buggy, things of that nature, may have to stay for their harvesting of their crops, things of that nature. So they had this provision in so that you could have somebody in these positions. What's happened over the last decade or 2 decades is they've gone to these recess appointments if Congress, specifically the Senate, isn't in what they call a pro forma session. And what that is, and I know we're getting in the weeds here, but it is important, is that there is at least one senator there to conduct business. If the Senate is open, there cannot be a recess appointment. That's basically the bottom line. And the reason it's important to not have recess appointments for a long period of time is you want to make sure that the people who are going to be heading up these agencies are qualified. We want to make sure that the American people, the taxpayers, the American public at large, is getting these leaders who are qualified, who've gone through Senate approval, met with the senators one-on-one, and then had questioning in their particular committees to make sure that these people should be leading. Some of these recess appointments that they've already named that they want to do recess appointments for, that they're going to be nominating, are quite interesting to say the least. And I'm not sure about the qualifications, and I think it's making several people in the Senate on both sides of the aisle very nervous. And so that's why I think that the president-elect is asking for recess appointments, is because he may think that the folks that he's nominating will not be able to clear the Senate and be confirmed. So it's going to be very interesting, as you said, to see what the Senate is going to do, if they're going to maintain their, 1/3 power that's given to them under the Constitution, or are they just going to say, okay, whatever the president wants, he gets, which is
And I think,
closer to a monarchy.
well, yeah, I think, there are many people who are experts in government, professors who've studied this, and people have written books about it and are experts who say this particular development will tell us whether we are moving more toward authoritarianism or whether we are moving, whether the Senate will continue to assert its authority under the Constitution. So I think this is no small matter as it applies to federal employees. And if the Senate does say, we want to be part of this, we want to have hearings where Democrats and Republicans can ask questions and then have a vote where the entire Senate will vote on it. To me, that's important. So we'll be watching that and seeing what comes up in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah. And again, we're not saying the president can't appoint who they want or nominate who they want, but they need to go through the regular process to make sure that they are qualified.
And one last thing I want to bring up here, Duncan, before we go to final comments, we mentioned this last time. The House voted this week to make big changes in what's called the Government Pension Offset, GPO, and the Windfall Elimination Provision, WEP. We posted a message from Darren Greenwald, our national president, about this. This did pass the House overwhelmingly. This just a few days before we record this. Now it goes to the Senate. It's kind of a long shot in the Senate just because the Senate is so busy right now, wrapping up their business and appointments and all those sorts of things. It could pass the Senate. There seems to be bipartisan support. And we think President Biden, in his remaining time in office, if it reaches his desk, we do believe he would sign this bill. So it's a long shot. But if you really care about this, the two senators that represent you are the people you need to talk to about that. And it's easier to kind of delay things in the Senate, sadly. So it's a long shot, but it could still happen. It's the furthest that legislation has ever been able to get in the Congress. So Duncan, again, this is kind of self-interest because it directly impacts me as somebody who worked under Social Security for 14, 15 years and then entered federal service under the CSRS system. So I had, my Social Security was impacted pretty dramatically by this. Any thoughts on your part?
Yeah, this is one of those things where I think it was a great idea in theory, but it swung too far and impacted it, I think, far more than Congress ever intended. So, yeah, this was overwhelmingly bipartisan in the House. And I would hope that, like you said, the Senate would carve out a little bit of time because I believe it's very bipartisan supported in the Senate as well to go ahead and pass this to correct that. Because for folks who are under the civil service retirement and not under the FERS, the federal employee retirement, it's a huge impact if you had any private sector experience. So I think I'm really hoping the Senate is able to take this up and take care of that.
And Duncan, time for your final comment.
My final comment is going to be that, there's still a lot of people upset about the election, understandably so. If your candidate for whatever office, president, senator, congressperson on down, didn't win, that's understandable. But the results are what the results are. We're going to have to, move forward, whether you're for it or against it. We're going to have to move forward with these congresspeople, with these governors, with the president. And we just hope that we can make our voices heard. If you are in favor of policies that folks who got elected, great. Let them know that you're in favor of it. If you are not in favor of the policies, let them know as well. You can continue to keep your voice heard. And I think that's very much a part of America, to make sure your voices are heard, whether you agree with something or don't agree with something. You always have that opportunity to let your congressperson or your senator or the White House know. And again, if you do want to raise your voice on an issue, you can go to ntu.org. They have great ways for you to communicate. They have set up letters if you want to make your voice heard on something, or you can just send it in. Just takes a few minutes to do, but you can make your voice heard. And we're hoping that there is a consensus that comes to be a consensus. Everybody, when they're out, campaigning, will make certain promises, and not all of them are kept. So we're hoping that, the bulk of America is able to come together, do what they need to do, and have just laws, and make sure that we're able to move forward. And if not, voice your dissent in the proper ways.
Duncan, I'm going to move to another issue. We just celebrated Veterans Day, but I saw an article in the Federal News Network website. The number of suicides among military personnel increased again in 2023. There's an annual report that just came out on this. It was released, I think, a day or two ago. And I'm reading from this article. The long-term trend of rising military suicides has been a persistent issue that the Pentagon said it plans to address with additional funding in 2025. So they're hoping to get money to address this, but it's continuing to get worse. In 2023, 523 service members died by suicide. That's all military. That includes the National Guard. And it's gone up every year. I think the Marines haven't gone up, but they still have the highest number of suicides. It's been kind of consistent over a number of years. So I would hope that the Defense Department or Congress, whoever the president may be, will do everything possible to address this issue. It's a serious issue that I believe government needs to take care of. Our people who volunteer to be a part of our military should not have suicide rates this high. There are ways to prevent that, and I hope the Defense Department gets the funding and continues to make whatever changes need to be made for that. So thank you, Duncan Giles. Thank you, all of you who watch and listen to our Chapter 49 podcast. We want to thank Zach Peck from United Benefits for being here. We're sorry about the connection issue, but there's nothing you can do about that. If you're in a building with bad connection, there's not much you can do to fix that. So I think he got his message across, and we appreciate that very much. So we thank you again for watching and listening. Please be safe and be kind.